the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. It is Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. Ready to get things rocking and rolling today. We're going to open up the phone lines for you as you're maybe sitting there watching, scratching the head of a kitty cat or a dog. Or perhaps you have a bird or the goldfish are swimming over there. Or maybe you have a poisonous snake. No. Because Allison Fields, our veterinarian in-house here today, does not deal with venomous pets.
Correct.
Are there any, as far as you know, legal venomous pets? And I guess the definition of venomous,
like every other year.
No, I know, but then I don't know if it has to.
I mean, I'm sure that with a license, you can have, a rattlesnake, or I don't know.
Is a tarantula considered venomous?
I don't think so.
Now it can sting and bite you, but they're not going to kill you. I guess I'll have to look for. Do you ever see tarantulas? Some people do have pet tarantulas.
I've seen a pet tarantula.
What on earth would they need for?
It cracked its shell.
You told me that once, and you helped heal it, or you just
I can't remember. We
super glued it
we
back
used
together?
Surgical glue or something and super glued it.
All right, next time you get a tarantula in with a cracked shell, I want you to call me. I would love to come do the story as long as we sign as we sign the HIPAA waivers.
Do you
I will
really
be there.
think that News Channel 5 is going to send you out to cover a cracked tarantula carapace?
Would you watch that? Yes, you would. The surgical procedure,
I don't think the big boss is going to say yes.
I bet they'd go for it. That is, you know what that? Yeah, it's not a lead story, but that's a talker. It's a talker. I would check that out. I think that'd be great. But suffice to say, you deal mostly with dogs, cats.
Dogs and cats.
What's going on lately? And we'll open up the phone lines in a moment, 737-7587. I keep saying, we're heading into the winter months. Get ready for the cold weather. And it's going to be 70 today.
Right?
It's crazy,
but it's supposed to, I think, get colder this week.
No, you're right. That's what Leland said.
So the standards, the old drill, make sure that if they're outdoor animals, they have plenty of shelter from the wind, from the rain, from the snow. Make sure that they have water that's not going to freeze and plenty of food. Kind of the basics for the winter.
Yeah, and it's going to get cold at some point. That's the crazy thing, the frozen water dishes or anything along those lines. This time of year, are you more likely or less likely to see perhaps, say, a rabid skunk or a raccoon? Is that more in the summertime? Is it?
I guess you're less likely to see it because they're not as active in the winter, but I don't think that rabies really has a preferred season.
It can be any time. That's why you have to be prepared for that. And how often the rabies boosters, the rabies tags, the things for when are you supposed to do that?
So dogs and cats should have as a puppy, they're supposed to be vaccinated for rabies between between 12 and 16 weeks, or at the age of 12 weeks or a little bit older. They should also have another 1-year rabies vaccine on the following year, so like their 1-year checkup. After that, depending on your vet, depending on your budget, you can do a 3-year rabies vaccine.
But you're going to have to keep doing it. It's not a one-time thing.
No, it's not a one-time thing. And you still have to go in and get a renewed tag, and your animals still need their distemper parvo or their bordetella or their leptospirosis or feline distemper, upper respiratory for cats. So there's, you still have to go to the vet. Doesn't exclude going to the vet once a year. But it's one less injection that we have to put in them for that. But they do need, typically vets will do a 1-year at their puppy and then at their 1-year recheck. And then after that, they'll do a 3-year.
And then typically when you do this, if you have an outdoor, it's in your yard and it's fenced in and all this, but you want to have a tag on there, okay?
Absolutely.
You want people to know, in the unlikely event that your animal nips someone or something like this, that they can tell right off the bat, because in the absence of that, and they don't know who the owner is, you can't take any chances with a rabies bite.
And the other thing is that a rabies tag, if they don't have anything else on but their rabies tag, at least gives them some form of identification.
Oh, that's true too.
So, if your neighbor's tree falls and breaks your fence and your dog gets out, at least we have some kind of identification. So if we get picked up, we can be kind of tracked back to you. Obviously, a name tag with your phone number or a microchip is obviously the best option, but minimum, get that rabies tag on them.
Gotcha. Now let's take a phone call or two. I've got other questions, but before we take our first break, since Lena called, let's get to her right off the bat. Lena, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? How can we help you, ma'am? What's on your mind?
I have a question. I have the hairless Chinese crested. And I've got 3 of them, but one of them, when she lost her baby teeth, they didn't all come back. But the younger one, she has lost baby teeth, but she still has baby teeth.
Yeah. So.
And she is about 17 months old.
Okay. Is she spayed?
No, not yet.
Okay.
She is going to be. She's the only one who is not yet.
So usually when we get puppies in to be spayed or neutered is when we'll take a look and see if we have any, we call them retained deciduous teeth. And so if they have any of those teeth that are going to cause a problem down the line, usually at a spay neuter is when we'll remove them.
Did you catch that?
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, so far, it don't seem to be bothering her any.
Well, yeah, they don't typically bother them at all. But the problem is that if they're still there, they can be too close together and they can collect food and debris, and then they can cause problems and we can get infected teeth and things like that. So usually when we spay or neuter, we'll take a look in there and see. It may be a tooth that isn't a problem, but if they're the canine teeth, usually we do recommend that we take those out.
All right. You got that?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
good. I'm glad. I hope that helps, Lena. You know, I've got some more calls coming in, 737-7587. Wanted to ask you too, this time of year, just, you mentioned, you know, vaccines, things you need for your animals. The one thing I know that happens now is a lot of people are going to go on vacations. They just did probably for Thanksgiving, but Christmas, some people may be taking off.
So boarding.
And look, given my druthers, if I have an option other than boarding, I'm going to do something other than that. I'm just going to. I'd rather.
There's lots of great boarding facilities.
And there are
around.
great boarding.
And a lot of vet clinics board.
What's the key on that in terms of selecting a boarding place?
Well, I think it's someplace that you're familiar, that you've at least visited. I think that they also are going to have some vaccine requirements, and you want a place with vaccine requirements because that means everybody's had them, not just your dog.
What are the typical requirements?
Well, that's a great question. Normally it's distemper, parvo, rabies, bordetella.
Okay.
Those are the 3 core dog vaccines. Lately, there are a lot of boarding facilities, including our clinic, that is requiring the influenza vaccine, the dog flu, because there have been kind of, and I think we talked about it a while ago, a year or so ago, there was an outbreak in Chicago, and then they're kind of been isolated. But with the hurricanes that we've had, with Texas and Florida being hit so hard and so many animals displaced, all of these animals were kind of rounded up and put in central locations where they can spread all kinds of diseases. And then they have been all kind of farmed out to different parts of the country. And so we're seeing these tiny little outbreaks in different places that have never seen it before due to this kind of mass exodus of these dogs. So a lot of places are requiring the influenza vaccine. So if you normally board your dog and you haven't talked to them at the place that you normally board, you might just want to call and make sure that they're not requiring that as well.
Do you know what they charge? What kind of range do you think boarding, and I know it varies, but per day to board an animal, to board an average sized dog?
Probably anywhere from $23 to
some real fancy places.
The real, the farm at Natchez Trace is a wonderful boarding facility. They have their own private suites and a turn down service and nature walks, and that starts at about $75 or $80 a night.
All right, I gotcha.
So there is a range. There's different kinds. There's places that have indoor-outdoor runs. There's places that don't have indoor-outdoor runs, but the animals get walked 3 times a day. There's just a range of different things. So I would also make sure that if anything happens to your pet while they're there, whether they get diarrhea or they manage to, get their little toe caught on their door or whatever, that they will either have a vet on staff, like boarding at a vet clinic, or that they will take your dog to your vet, as long as probably they're close enough. So, just make sure what they haven't set up for emergencies or illnesses.
Gotcha. Hey, listen, on that note, we'll take a quick break. We can talk more about that in boarding if you have any questions about how to handle that and get it set up, but that was a pretty darn good primer. The number is 737-7587. Tanya, you're on hold. Stay there. Others, stay there. We've got lines open. Questions for the vet, more up until 9 o'clock. Right after this, stay with us.
This week on Fishin' Affliction